So we will create one lambda function and create one table in the DynamoDB. So let me go back to the AWS console. So this is the AWS console. So I'm using in the Mumbai region. So I can go and create one lambda function here. I will try to write the code in Python. I have an existing role which will basically give a permission to Lambda to invoke the DynamoDB, to do some operation in the DynamoDB. Otherwise, Lambda will not be able to insert or write data into DynamoDB. So I have already one role, so I'm using that existing role. Let me also review the role. What is the role behind? What are the policies behind the scenes there? So if I see this role have nothing but it has full DynamoDB access. Okay, AWS Lambda DynamoDB execution role. So these are all the AWS managed role. So I have attached these roles along with attached these policies with this role, so that my Lambda can invoke DynamoDB. Okay, let's create the function. Okay, so my function skeleton is ready. So let's write the code. Okay, so I have one already existing Lambda function, so I will try to leverage the same just for a quick reference. So here we have the code editor. Okay, let me copy the code from here. I can walk you through the code. Basically, this is the Lambda handler. First we have written. So from that Lambda handler, we are getting the event and the context of the Lambda execution. So we are taking out our desired data from that event. Basically, that event has a key value pair. Okay. So event will contain some key value data. So we will get that event, and in event our logic is that we will have two data, one list timestamp and another is the data. So data can contain any kind of data. It's maybe a string, number, and JSON formatted string. Okay, so once I have received the event, I'm extracting the data from that event, and now I'm calling that insert in my DB. That is a custom method which is allowing me to execute or to insert the data into this table, the DynamoDB table. So here you can see I have used the Boto3 client, okay, to access the AWS resources, DynamoDB resource. So here you can see DynamoDB resource. This is my data. This is the table name I will show you, and this is a simple command. The table I am creating that particular object, and the table dot put item. So I am trying to put in this item in these two timestamp and data. So whatever timestamp I am getting, that is in string format, I will get it from this event, and whatever data I am getting from this event, I will put it here. So these two data will be put into DynamoDB table, and the table name is my data. Okay, so let me save it, okay, and deploy this code. Okay, meanwhile I have to show you the my data. Okay, my data, this is already existing table. Okay, so let me go to the DynamoDB DynamoDB thing, DynamoDB console. Okay, So now let me create a new table just for your reference. So let me create my data2, and it's a partition key, keep the same name, timestamps, it's a string. Okay, short key is optional, you may use or may not use. For now, just for your simple interest, I'm not using any short key, just using a partition key. The name is timestamp here, format is string, you can give anything. Okay, now let me create the table. Okay, now my table is ready. Sorry, this is my existing table and this is my data2 is another table. Okay, so explore table items. If you want to see what are the data, what are the item in this table present. Okay, so you can click on the explore table, and if you click on the just detail the about the table, so you have to click on that few details. So it will give you the partition key, short key, capacity, table status, alarm. Okay, all this information. We will go details in later uh, session. So yeah, right now it doesn't have. If you query explore table items, that means you want to see the table data. Okay, so you will not see any data. You can see it will ask you for a scan. You have to select the table name, and it will ask for the all attributes or specific attributes. However, for the simple test, I'm giving all attributes. Now click on run. There is no data present. Okay, so what actually I have to do is I have to insert some data in my table. So let me put that my data2. Okay, okay, let's change it, save it, and deploy it. Okay, now what I will try to do, I will try to do a test. Okay, how will I test? So for my test, I have to create an event first. Test data, test my data2. Okay, I have to give it string the JSON format. So this is the basically the event payload. Okay, whatever timestamp I want to give, I can give. I'm giving an epoch timestamp. This is my value and data. This is my data. I can give a stringified data, or yeah, means JSON string as a data. So what I will do is I will do like this: temperature like 28, humid like 40. These two. Okay. Now format JSON, click on save. There is an error in JSON event, correct it before saving. Now this compiler is intelligent, it's saying there is an error in JSON event. What is the error? So this is the semicolon, this is the comma is the error. Now save it. Now test it. Okay, it failed. Let's see what does it say. Okay, error message, handler lambda handler missing module lambda function. Okay, so lambda handler is the, you can, if you go to the code and if you go down, okay, the runtime settings, this is a very basic mistake happens, that you can see handler. What is the handler? Class name or handler name is lambda function, okay, which is this is your lambda function. This is the lambda function, this is the file name, right? Now here I have a handler called my DynamoDB handler. So two things I can do, I can either change this handler name, this method name here, okay, or I can copy this name and update it here, okay. So let me go by the second approach. It is already configured. If you want to change, you can click here and you can just change this name. That will also work. For simplicity, I'm just keeping the same name, lambda handler, and I'm going to this function, changing this method name, handler method name, doing save and deploy. Okay, deployment is done. Let's try to do a test. You can see my test data 2. I'm getting the HTTP status code 200, and along with that few other response header details I have received. Now let's try to check the data has been inserted or not. Okay, so this is my data 2 table. Let's try to run it now. Now I can see the timestamp. This has been inserted. Okay. Now let me give another try. Save it and test it. It is also successful. We can see the response here also. Okay. And the more important thing is, if you go to the log, you will see some more details. Okay, you can see their log has been created at 16:51 minute. So let's open that log. Okay, so this is the environment variables. You can see all the environment details you can see here from this log, and this is the event. An event has this payload only. So this is the event you can capture here. You can see the end and the report request ID. So that means it has been successfully executed, and also it is saying that duration of the execution of your code. Okay, it is 134,849 millisecond. This many for this duration of time that your lambda has been executed, and you have been built for this millisecond, means 1 second, 1.3 second. Okay, so you will be charged for only this many time. Okay, so whatever that is called the server list, it pay as you go, and how many time it will be executed, you will be charged. Otherwise, it will be not be charged. You do not need any specific or dedicated server. Okay, so if your frequency is less, so you can keep it, and if you can operate it very less, it will be, your charge will be less. Okay, that's all for the today's session. So this is how we connect from Lambda to DynamoDB. And now what we can say, so before this Lambda, okay, we can do in the left hand side of this particular wall, we can say other Amazon services. Okay, using that like API gateway, API gateway, TwinMaker, okay, IoT core. Using those services, we can integrate and we can invoke data to this Lambda, and from there also we can invoke the data. We can filter some data, we can manipulate some data, and based on that we can insert the data into the DynamoDB. Okay,